All right. All right. Looks like we are live. Looks like there's a little bit of a lag. Daryl is the currently the only one watching. Is there any lag on your end? Okay, good. It's just on me on my end then. Okay. So Daryl's the first one here. So we'll wait see who else joins, and we'll go ahead and go from there. All right. Island Queen is here now. Welcome to the stream. So said we'll give it a couple more. Oh, she's gonna go share it. So I appreciate that. All right, let's see. We've got 4 watching now. So yeah, we'll go ahead here in just a moment, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I just changed the scene on you guys. Does that? Did you guys see that? I didn't see it come through YouTube, but I did see it come through OBS. There it goes. Okay. All right. So still got 4 watching, but let's go ahead real quick. Got 7 on now, so let's go ahead and get started. I kind of thought of this topic. I've seen some of the people do the worst their worst days in fish keeping. So hi Derek, how are you? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, so that, and then I was in Corvus's live stream the other day, and it reminded me of a story. And so I'll go ahead and kind of tell that story first. I have quite a few worst days in fish keeping. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, so I have quite a few. So the story was, the way our house is set up, I used to have my fish room in the basement, and right above where my sump was for all my saltwater fish was the kids' bathroom. And excuse me, I've been running a little bit of a cold, so you have to bear with me a little bit. So above the kids' bathroom, or above the sump, was the kids' bathroom, and that had a vent that basically stood right above the sump. And the kids left a bottle of shampoo or soap, I can't remember which, and it leaked basically down through the vent. There was a crack in the vent, kind of about this much or so, and it actually leaked soap into my sump. So I went downstairs, and I saw my skimmer was going crazy, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why is it doing this? And usually there's something wrong, you know, when your skimmer does that. And what it was doing, it was actually foaming up all of the soap that had come between the crack, in between where the vent was, and down into the sump. And actually, I did not lose any fish. What I did from there is I shut the sump off. I actually kind of let the skimmer run, if I remember correctly. And then it basically was able to water change it out, clean all the skimmer out and everything else. And it kind of, everything ended up still, yeah, everything still went pretty well. So that, I didn't lose any fish, really lose anything. So it was kind of a funny story. So I thought I would share that story first. You know, I didn't really learn anything from that, other than to basically, I guess, watch what's above your fish tanks. But that reminded me of you know, seeing that that came to mind on Corvus's stream. So that was the first one. Um, other than that, I'm gonna go through some of the other ones. I've had stuff happen with calcium reactors. So I had a calcium reactor basically dump a whole can of CO2 into a reef system I had. This was probably about 8, 9 years ago. So that now, I'm pretty careful about setting up stuff with CO2. What it does basically is if you dump the whole canister in, your pH will be fine when you check it and all your fish are gone. But what we surmised happened was basically it dumped the whole can of CO2. The pH shock when it went down that far basically killed all the fish off, and then basically wiped out the whole tank. So all right, so TM Aquatics is here. Welcome to the stream. So we were just going through some of my worst days in fish keeping. Another one that comes to mind for me is moving tanks. I always hate moving tanks. The worst was when we moved into this house, actually. I had taken down all of my big tanks, and we had movers move those. But River Life is here. Welcome, Rack. Welcome to the stream. So this, honestly, I will call my really worst day in fish keeping. So somehow, just the way timing worked out and everything, we had one day to move everything, all the fish. It was just somehow with the way the timing worked out, I literally had like a Saturday or something to move all of the fish. So from there, basically, I literally, I had 8, 10, 12 tanks to move, and they were all salt water. So I had to keep the water, make salt, and I started with nothing, just a bare room, and had to get it all moved in one day. So I moved it all, got it set back up, got it going at like 3 o'clock in the morning, sort of like what Joel did. I ended up killing some fish, and that I did Joel had done the shrimp soup, so I did basically angelfish and clownfish soup. I put a heater in a bucket, exact same thing. I'm showing my stream output is low. Is everything coming across okay for you guys? Let me know in the chat if everything's coming through okay. Showing me it's being low. So basically, I learned from that is a lot of planning. Really, when you move something, you really need to take your time, plan, even more than a day. Like this fish barn is taken. I did it basically over like a 4 or 5 day 4th of July weekend, and that was only, I'll call it, I don't know. That was only literally the freshwater stuff. So, and I'm still not done setting things up in here. And it's been, I'll call it the barn was sort of born on the 4th of July. So that weekend was really when fish were in here. But even from there, I mean, we've still got, I'm still working on stuff behind me. There's 3 tanks behind me going through here that I'm still working on setting up. So I think one of the major things that I've learned is to plan ahead and really think about, how you're going to, move everything. Plan out as many details as you can. You can't really plan everything, obviously, but you can plan a lot of things. So that was really one of the, the key lessons for me is just moving tanks, moving fish rooms, moving setups. Is just take your time, plan everything out. Keep the fish's health first. So that's really that's really the one thing I've learned, and I've also learned sort of the hard way. Get help. I had a 220 gallon tank that was given to me by someone at work, and literally I got sick of it being in my garage, so I literally tried to carry it into the house, and by myself. I was, it'd been in my garage for 6 months. I was sick of it being there. I wanted it gone. So I literally, I just kind of like used leverage and furniture dollies, etc. I have some suction cups that I used for it as well. So I literally took it, and carried it up, into the house, and then I had to get it down the stairs. And so I was just gonna leave it up in the stairs until I got help, but I decided, you know what, this is going too well, and I'm going to literally just take it down the stairs. So I had one suction cup here and one suction cup here, and I literally grabbed it and I pulled it down, and I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but I cut literally the middle part of my head. I did get it down the stairs, but I literally, about 9:30 at night, covered in blood. I got it down at that point, but it was pretty. My wife wasn't too happy with me for having to get the kids up, take them to my in-laws, drive me to the emergency room. So it was kind of a bad deal. So again, you're moving big tanks. Don't do it yourself. Just get help. So those are really, from the top of my head right now, these are really my worst days in fish keeping. I do want to give you guys a little bit of an update on the clownfish. The clownfish are sort of a good news, bad news story. So the first batch that I had, they were probably 13 days or so. Unfortunately, I ended up losing all of those. Last Thursday I saw them, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if something happened with the water quality, but I haven't seen any now since Thursday. So it's funny, I posted on Joel's Patreon about that, and the next thing you know, they're gone. So, but the good news is, one, the second batch is hatched, and I have a lot more fry, so really a lot more chances. And then also, some good news is I had another pair of fish spawn. So I had a pair of tomato clown spawn, and I think they're very close to you. And I think I can take the camera over there, so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys the tomato clouds. I'm just going to get some light over there because they're hard to see without a light. So let me get that over there for you. So this is so the eggs, if you can see them, are right in there. So those are the tomato clown eggs. Those probably have another 5-6 days or so to hatch, but since we were close, I wanted to show you guys that. So sorry if that was a little bit shaky, but so that's that's the goings on. I'm gonna put out a video Thursday, like normal. That's gonna be the shrimp from the aquatic experience, the shrimp contest. So that's a very I enjoyed that. I'm not a big shrimp guy. I don't have any shrimp in here, but it's been a lot of making that was a lot of fun. So that video will be coming out on Thursday, and then I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do for Sunday. I may do a clownfish update video, basically kind of walk through all the species I have in here right now, give an update on the eggs, and I did do some rearranging in here after last Tuesday, so I did go ahead and kind of create a little bit of a breeding area. I cleaned out some of the area in my workspace, so that really turned out well. So I'll show that off probably too. I think that's what I'm going to do. From there, one thing I'm kind of thinking of doing, let me know in the chat what you think. I've thought about doing a underwater fish room tour. So I have an iPhone 8 which is able to shoot underwater. So I was going to maybe shoot a underwater fish room tour. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. So yeah, it's showing the output is low again. I wonder if that's you guys seeing a lag, or is everything good? Yeah, so I've been kind of doing a lot of work up here. I'll get out of the way for a minute and kind of show you guys what's behind me. I've been doing a little bit of work. These are not final by any stretch of the imagination, but I had to move some of these fish around because I didn't leave myself enough room to put the drains in the back of these. This is gonna get cleaned up, but right now this used to be my 90-gallon. I moved it up here. This is a mixed African cichlid tank. It's got some yellow labs, purple ACI, and then a mixture of peacocks in it. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to put into this tank that's over here. This tank will be some sort of another African cichlid tank. I'm not really sure. And then over here to the other side, it's just out of the camera, there's another 75, and those are going to be Pundamilia nairi. So those are the 3 tanks I'm working on right now. And then I am going to move some of my live bears upstairs. So I am going to drag those guys upstairs. Some of my goodeids I've kind of fallen apart actually. So I don't know what's going on there, but I am going to move them up here. I think the temperature is better up here. In the summer when I had the AC running up here, it was pretty comfortable up here, where downstairs it wouldn't be. And then basically when I was going in the wintertime, it's been pretty consistent up here. The downstairs gets a little drafty, and I think maybe that's what's causing it. But everything's doing good from a fish perspective. Like I said, the goodeids are doing a little bit rough, but the rest of it's doing okay. Do you guys have any questions for me? You can ask me anything. You can ask me about the fish barn. You can ask me some clownfish breeding questions. One of the things I do want to do here as well is show the maybe do a tutorial on the MBI site at some point. I am actually wearing the Marine Breeding Initiative shirt. So let me point the camera down a little bit. So this MBI right here, so that's the Marine Breeding Initiative. I'll put that website in the chat. But basically, if you want to go look up any breeding information, there's reports in there of people who've done various things, from dotty backs to clownfish to anything like that. So you can go and look that up. Another thing I'm kind of thinking of, how many salt species have I bred? That's a good question. So I have spawned I spawned 4, I think. So I've spawned the tomato clowns, I've spawned Ocellaris, Ocellaris now twice. I've spawned a pair of Clarkies. I never got them through. I'm going to use the MBI rules for counting this. So basically, for those who don't know, the MBI rules are: there's a spawn, a hatch category. There's getting them to settlement, which is the metamorphosis phase, and then there is then there's getting it to live 60 days. So I'm going to say I've spawned 4, and I've raised to the 60-day mark 1, which is the Ocellaris clownfish. However, I have not raised, I did get the Bangais through the first 3 phases, so I've gotten the Bangai cardinals, and I just didn't get them to live the 60 days, which is like the easiest thing to do out of all of it. So that was kind of irritating. So, but that was, so the only one that I will say that I've officially bred was the Ocellaris clownfish. I've gotten spawns from other things, like I mentioned, but I've not achieved getting them through. So Turbofish is in the chat. Welcome, AJ. Hope everything's going well. We'll have to get over to the Pleco Paradise again. I saw Jeffro's video today, so that was a lot of fun. Too bad I had to leave. So we went to a few weeks ago. I met up with Jeffro, Sergeant Tanks, and Turbofish out in Chicago, and we did a shop hop, and then we went to we watched Jeffro's live stream, which kind of got me to start doing this. I watched him live stream, so I decided to give this a try. And so yeah, and then we went to Pleco Paradise. Unfortunately, I had to be back home, so I kind of bought the fish. I bought a pair of Severums, which are really cool. If you were maybe hanging out in Jeremy's live stream last Tuesday, you may have seen them through the algae in that tank. But that was I did pick those up. Those are doing really well. So I'm pretty happy with those. So, does anyone else have any other questions? Turbofish, what's up, handsome? Not much. Battling a little bit of a cold and having my last day of work tomorrow for the week. So, we normally, or we always have. We usually get we get Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving off, and so that's a pretty nice 4-day weekend. So we're gonna do some family stuff tomorrow on Thanksgiving, but after that, I'm gonna try to finish up all the nagging little projects I have out here, and it can kind of just run on its own for a while without me having to do a whole lot of work. You know, other than like the normal maintenance stuff. Let me see if I can think of any other worst days in fish keeping. Like I said, my worst day in fish keeping is having to move tanks. I mean, that was brutal. 3 o'clock I got done at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I accidentally had put in what type of Severums? Oh, they are red shoulder Severums, and they are from the Nene River in Peru. So they're the red shoulders. I believe they're wild caught as well, which is pretty cool. So those are really the first wild caught freshwater fish I've had. I mean, most of the saltwater fish, I'm not going to say the clownfish, because most clownfish now are captively bred. But if you're buying stuff like angelfish, butterfly fish, the vast majority of those are going to be wild caught on the saltwater side. So, yeah, I mean, one thing from, I've kind of been bitten recently a little bit by the cichlid bug. I kind of learned a little bit at the auction a couple weeks ago that, I basically live in cichlid town. The auction table, the vast majority of the fish there, and it was by a pretty steep margin, were cichlids. So, but I did find some cool things that I have never seen before. I had some things that I'd seen at the aquatic experience that I really enjoyed. So, that was a lot of fun. But, yeah, so I got bit a little bit by the cichlid bug. Like I said, you can see the cichlids behind me. I actually had to move these tonight. They originally, the Pundamilia and Nyari were about right behind me, and the cichlids were over to this side. But I made an error, and when I was setting these tanks up, they're going to drain, and there's going to be a sump in the bottom. I made an error, and I didn't leave myself enough space to put in the drain hoses in the back. So I had to drain them all. I had to drain them, and I didn't really want to lose the water, because the water that comes in here is not heated. It comes from the, comes from inside the house. There's some PEX PVC that I've run from the house out here, but it's not, I don't run hot water out here, so I kind of just let it warm up in the drums I have here. But yeah, so I got that. So I didn't really want to lose the warmish water that I have here, so I kind of had to move them. This tank was empty, so I had to move water from tank to tank, and then move the fish from tank to tank. I got a question for you guys in the chat. I have basically an open 75, and what sort of cichlids do you guys think I should put in it? I don't really have anything in mind, but I was just curious what sort of cichlids you guys were into, or if you want me to do something else. I have discus. I have the South Americans downstairs. I have some Geophagus hecali, the severums that we just spoke about. So, I picked up two that I thought were going to be rather difficult to find. The Pundamilia nairi, which I've mentioned a few times now, and I also found they're called Astia tilapia aniacolor, or also can be called Haplochromis aniacolor, and they are a yeah. And I saw those at the Aquatic Experience as well, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get these or not. You know, I don't know if I'm ever be able to find these, because these were the Haplochromis aniacolor actually won its category, and so I figured a fish that I guess it seemed rare to me. Maybe it's not at all, but yeah, I thought it was very cool. I was able to go to my first auction and find both of them, because like in the saltwater world, it's frag swaps, and there's really not a lot of fish. You may find clownfish. I know there's a gentleman. I think he's near the Chicago area, who sells clownfish. But other than him, there's really not a whole lot of like clownfish people or fish breeding people or anything like that. There's more than there used to be, but there's still not a whole lot. Does anyone have any saltwater questions for me? We can maybe talk a little saltwater if you guys want. We can talk maybe. I did get the question on Sergeant Tank's live stream. Do you have any corals? So at the moment, I do not have any corals. So I've done corals many times. It's one of the things that I've done for. I did it for probably a good 3 years or so in our old house. I really never got started with it back into it here. I really like the fish. I'm more of a fish guy, and so I really enjoy keeping the fish aspect of it. I mean, I like corals. I can keep corals. I'm just not really. It's not really like a main focus for me. I know, like from a saltwater channel part of the channel perspective, I'd have to, to get some street cred, I'd have to show my awesome reef tank. I may do it. Like I've said before, there's a 125 downstairs. I may set up as a reef tank. I may just keep them hooked together, because right now they're sharing the same sump. That 125 and the 245 gallon saltwater tank share the same sump. So that's a possibility, but I'm not right now. I'm not really pushing to do that, but that's something I really want to maybe pursue that as maybe a long-term goal. Maybe get a reef down there again. Get some. Oh, hey, Corey's in the chat. Hey, Corey, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Oh, Jeremy's in the chat as well. How's it going, Jeremy? So we were talking about my worst day in fish keeping. So I was just gonna recap for the guys who just came. I'll tell them first, I guess, my funniest day in fish keeping. The way our house is set up, we have a. I used to have my fish room down in the basement, and in my sump, my sump was literally right below the bathroom, and my kids had. I'll use this algae as an example. My kids had spilled shampoo, and it had found its way down through the vent, and there was like a little hole in the vent, and it literally dripped soap into my sump. And the protein skimmer had started foaming up and everything, and I was sitting like going on, I'm like, why is my protein skimmer like going crazy? Usually it does that if you put some sort of chemical in the system, like if you put like maybe like a copper or something like that, it may affect that. But yeah, I'm sitting there, I was tearing my hair out for a few minutes, and why is it doing, something's wrong. And I went upstairs and I found the kids' soap turned over and leaking into my sump. Thankfully, I didn't lose any fish on that one, but that was a rather interesting experience. Otter Creek Aquatics, what is up? Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, so Corey's going to be going. I think he's going to be going live on Thanksgiving again. I always enjoy that. Corey, that's crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy story. Yeah, so that was probably the craziest fish story. That Donna will get you every time. Yeah, and the funniest part was I didn't lose any fish, which was the cool part, right? I mean, it's a funny story. I didn't lose any livestock. I was able to contain it. I shut the pumps off, cleaned everything up, got it taken care of. But it was really that was a really funny one. So I mean, I've done, like I said, if you're in this long enough, you're gonna do stuff. The stuff's just gonna happen. That's Murphy's law, right? So I mean, I tried carrying a tank down the stairs that I shouldn't have, and I told this a little bit earlier, and sliced my head open and ended up with 4 staples in the hospital, which didn't make my wife very happy. So, but yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot of things that can happen, but I mean, the important thing is really like is that you learn from them. If it's some of the excuse me, the disease aspect of it, learn next time. For example, I forever have had trouble keeping butterfly fish. They always get something, and I just keep tweaking it, right? So I keep tweaking how I keep them, how I quarantine them, how what meds I use, and et cetera, et cetera. And these ones so far, knock on wood, are doing well. So what I did this time is I did the freshwater dip. I literally just stuck them in a freshwater dip, and that seems to be doing well. All those fish are doing really well. The butterfly fish were even eating pellets today, which I usually don't feed butterfly fish pellets. I usually feed them the frozen food. I just didn't have enough time to go into the house and get it and come back out here. So that was really so that was really encouraging to watch them eat the pellet food. I did want to give you guys that just came in a little bit of an update on the clownfish breeding stuff. Unfortunately, so it's a good news, bad news story. Unfortunately, I did lose the initial spawn. I don't know what happened on Thursday. I saw them in the tank. Everything looked good. But from there, it really sort of, something happened. I don't really know what it is. It could be a variety of things. You could have gotten an insect larva in the tub. It could have been anything. So, but the good news is that one, the second batch hatched, and there are quite a few more fry. So I think there's probably over 20 to 30 this time. I think the last time there was maybe 10. So that's encouraging. One, if there's more fish, your chances are better. And then two, I actually had another pair of fish spawn. Some of you have seen me post it on Facebook, but I did have a pair of tomato clowns that spawned as well. So that was a welcome thing. And since I run the clowns on a central system, I kind of thought that might happen. They release a lot of hormones in the water when they spawn, and so that will encourage a lot of the other fish to spawn as well. So, so that's one thing that I was kind of looking forward to. Right now, in terms of like the pairs that are in here, there's really one other pair. Unfortunately, the other fish I either have singles because I've lost them, or like they weren't available. Like I have a Tristinctus clown which I looked forever for, and I was only able to get one. So that was very I just actually had to take the one. But I have the same thing with the lightning maroon. I've got one lightning maroon in here, but I do have a pair of Spot Cinctus that I'm kind of looking at, and maybe they'll spawn as well, and that will be a excuse me, that will be another fish I can work on. Do you guys have your worst days in fish keeping, and maybe what you've learned from it? That would be we could have maybe a little bit of a discussion on that. Yeah, I don't see any takers for that. But I did really want to cover that topic. Um, and I'll go on a little bit of a tangent here too. One thing I did really focus on, kind of preventing the worst day in fish keeping, is Otter Creek Aquatics. I lost a whole tank of fire red shrimp. That's not. I'm sorry to hear that. That there's not. I'm not really delved into the shrimp world yet. I do have like a 15-gallon cube tank in here, that I could really get into that with, but I'm not. I just haven't gotten there yet. I guess the one other thing too is kind of really like the preventative side of how do you prevent the weird worst day in fish keeping. And I really went through that a lot when I set up the fish barn. So I did a few things. I literally walked through all the things that I could think of happening out here. And, and from there, if I was able to get two, call it basically two solutions that were easy to that problem. So, for example, if the power went out, how would I keep the fish room alive? So, right now it's getting towards winter here in Michigan. So, if I lose power out here, I need two things out here. I need heat and I need air circulation. I have access to a generator, and I'm not going to go grab it because it's, you guys don't want to see me lug a big, huge, basically propane heater over here. But I have a propane room heater, and I bought two. Sorry, and I bought two 40-gallon or 40-pound propane tanks. So they're basically double the size of the ones that you use on your barbecue grill. So that heater kicks out quite a bit of heat. I've not tested it yet. That's on my list of things to do here pretty soon. Get it, call it battle ready. But for example, that, and then for example, if I lose water out here, how can I get water out here? I installed on the side of the house. I installed a frost-free. Say that 100 times. A frost-free faucet. So you're able to turn the. So that faucet will work all year long, and then I can just. I'm gonna stick the our hose in here. And it's not perfect, but it will get the job done in an emergency. So I can just hook that up. Pull it through the snow, which won't be fun, but it is what it is. And I'll have unfrozen water out here if it gets to that point. I've set up this system out here to not do that and not have that happen, but at the same time, I want to be prepared. Especially in the wintertime. Summer is a little easier. You lose power. I mean, I can run fans and things like that out here. That I'm worried about it, but I'm not as worried. So. But things like that, when you build a fish room, you got to think through all of the steps. What can go wrong, and if you can be prepared for it, that will come a long way to nullifying your worst day in fish keeping. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of any other things that I always keep buckets around, extra buckets, extra tubs, extra. And we've just lost power. That's interesting. Alright, so alright, am I still here, first of all? So let me go take care of the fish, and I'll be right back. All right. We got that solved, and there are still 9 people. So, yep, I'm here. I'm back. So, sorry about that. That was kind of funny. So, was able to figure out what was wrong. Looked like an outlet sort of just shut itself off. Powder strip. So that was a little exciting. So apologize, you guys. I had to go. Obviously the animals come first. There's still 9 people watching, so so thank you guys for hanging out and watching the dark fish room while I was downstairs messing around with the trying to figure out why I had no power. So that was kind of an interesting deal. So do you guys have any more questions for me? Yeah, that was kind of ironic, talking about basically talking about disasters and disaster maintenance, and literally the screen of the room goes dark. So I think on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you guys don't have any further questions, if you guys do, I'll be happy to stick around. I kind of left you guys hanging, so I apologize, but I had to go take care of the fish. So I do appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. And with that, if you guys don't have any more questions, I do appreciate you guys supporting and coming out and watching. And have a good night and a happy Thanksgiving for those in the United States.